I don't think my lighting is very good. I'm going to try this, see if that helps, but I don't know if that's on. All right. Hey guys, welcome back to my regular Wednesday night live. I have the fabulous Kate Shemirani, former nurse. Truth seeker is the term that I'm using. But hello, thank you for coming on. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I just want to correct you there. I am a fully trained and qualified nurse of 36 years. I was trained and qualified as an independent nurse prescriber. I have a diploma in personal nutrition, and I present on an American radio show as a health and wellness expert.
I apologize. Okay. By former nurse, I guess I meant not currently working in that field, because now you've
no, I still work. I work with
you do
all the time. I don't work with the NHS. That's my choice. They're very corrupt. They work for the government. It's not advocated for the patient. And that we have a nursing register here, the Nursing and Midwifery Council, also taken over by the government in 2001, extremely corrupt. So you are first and foremost a qualified nurse before you're on the register. You don't need to be on that register. You don't need to be part of a gangster killing machine.
Oh, I see. Well, you've become quite prominent as of late because you are willing to be a face to this anti-mask, I'm going to say C19, because I don't want to ban my friend's channel that I'm currently using. My own channel I'm not using. I'm going to say inoculation. You're anti-inoculation for I think very respectable reasons, in spite of the fact that you're perceived by many as a nut, which I don't think is fair. I'm perceived as a nut for other reasons. As a Christian, I believe in things that people find oh yeah, I just reminded myself a Bible verse, guys. The Bible verse I've chosen to begin this live is: work with enthusiasm as though you were working for the Lord rather than for people. Remember that the Lord will reward each one of us for the good we do, whether we are slaves or free. That is from Ephesians chapter 6, verses 7 to 8. I hope you guys take that one to heart. That's a good one.
Amen.
So, amen. It doesn't really matter what happens on earth, because we'll be rewarded in heaven. And so I think that's wonderful. I did want to mention something that I just saw. I was looking you up, obviously, as I would do to interview someone, and your son was on there. If that's a touchy topic, tell me now and we won't talk about it. But it seems that he's a little bit left-leaning and doesn't seem to agree with you, which is fine. Me and my mum don't agree on everything. Me and my dad don't agree on everything. But I feel like he's quite glib about your future as mother and son. Does that affect you? Does that hurt you? How do you feel about that? If you want to move on, just tell me right now.
Well, first of all, we're told in Revelation about how the children will turn against their parents. We're also told in the book of David, I think it is, that if we believe something to be true, it's almost a sin not to speak of it. He's my son and I love him dearly and I forgive him.
Of
Who
course.
am I not to forgive? Jesus died on the cross to forgive all of us our sins. And it was, our Creator's, he gave up his only begotten son for that. So, my son is a beautiful young man, extremely articulate.
He's very handsome.
And he went to Eton on a full scholarship, which is where all the world leaders go, including Boris Johnson. All their sons go there. My son knows that he has been, he's betrayed me. My son also knows that he's not spoke the truth. And for me, that's very easy, because I know where I stand and I know the Lord knows my heart and he knows my son's heart. My son knows what he's done wrong and he knows that he's lied, and he's going to have to live with that, and he will face judgment in this life and in the next. And what I really feel very passionate about is he's a very young man. He's only just turned 22. And he's done politics, philosophy and economics. And he was very, very active in politics at university. He's been on the TV about it. He's been in Speaker's Corner. And what he doesn't realize is the establishment, and the BBC World Service, of course, has MI5 connections, is in his life, should he wish to partake in a career in politics, He'll always be remembered as the young man that betrayed his mother, the ultimate betrayal. And I believe that will be used against him in the future, where they'll say, don't trust this young man, he even betrayed his mother. So he is my son, and I will always, always defend him. When I was 22, I did lots of things that were really stupid and foolish. It is the folly of youth. And you know, I just hope that it doesn't have a very profound effect on him. But I have to say that I believe it will.
Well, I guess that's true, but you could be the example and do the whole prodigal son route. And I only found out recently that story, according to, I don't know who told me, but someone told me that the story of the prodigal son is actually called the story of the father in Hebrew or something like that. So it just depends on the angle you take, but you could be that, and that would break him in a nice way. He'd be like, oh my God, dear mum, like, how can you be so kind to me? Like, that would be, you know, turn the other cheek.
He's my son. I love him.
Oh, of course you do. Yeah.
And in the book of, I believe it's in the book of Daniel, I wasn't a Christian when I named my children. Their father is Iranian, their father is Persian. And one of my sons is Gabriel Cyrus, and my other son is Sebastian Darius. And you can find their names in the book of Daniel.
That's beautiful. How poetic.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's lovely. Are you still married to their father?
No, I was married for 17 years. I've been separated and ultimately divorced for over 7 years. And my ex-husband lives back in Iran. It was a very unhappy marriage. However, he is the father of my children. And
of course,
you know, I have 4 beautiful children. They might not agree with what I'm doing now, but they are gifts from God, and I thank him for that. And so I don't, you know, I think it was I can't remember who it was that said it, you know, to hold anger and hatred is like drinking poison and expecting it to hurt your enemies. I've had some people really, really betray me since I actually
since you stepped out
in February of 2020, when I worked on a local radio station, and I used all evidence-based research, and I spoke about Wuhan, I spoke about mandatory vaccines in China, about fluoride, about there being an inversion in the genome sequence indicative of vector technology of this COVID-19. And that really propelled me. I'd already done lots of interviews and had a very busy social media presence because I was very anti-oncology, because I myself had cancer 9 years ago and declined chemo, radiotherapy, tamoxifen, Zoladex, and did natural after surgery. So
you've come out of it.
Yeah, I'm fine. That was over 9 years ago.
That's insane.
Yeah, so I'm very anti-pharma because I understand it all, and I researched all the history, all of it. So I was already in the public eye. So I just came out further, and I think that particular 21 minutes did about 2 million views worldwide. It got me sacked from the radio. It got me persecuted. But we're used to this. This is God's work. So we're used to being persecuted. But I will, you know, speak your word and then shake the dust off your sandals on the way out. So I was already out there, and it was just, I think I was the first that kind of said it in the UK. And then straight away people started coming to me and whistleblowing, and it was horrific. Nurses, a doctor, relatives, and I was hearing of out and out murder. So
I remember you saying, I'll do it for you. If you're afraid to come out, I'll whistleblow for you. You were saying that, and I remember like, wow, she's the conduit, like she's the umbrella for the lightning. Like that's what you were doing. That's insane, and you're still doing it, and you're being persecuted more than you probably were at the beginning of this public life.
Well, I've been arrested outside Parliament.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And I was in custody for 32 hours. They got a senior police officer to come down and extend my custody. I have a completely clean record. I got cat hairs on my nose. No convictions for anything. And so they came into my home when I was in custody, and the search warrant said, or to collect electronic devices relating to anti-vaxx, COVID-19, and 5G conspiracy theories. I wasn't under any impression that there were any laws against such things. So that's what was done. And just checking my phone's plugged in here. And that was in September. The crime that they were trying to charge me with carried 5 years to life in prison.
Swore. What was your crime?
Public nuisance with a conspiracy to incite violence. All
What?
those charges were dropped. I still don't have my laptop back. We're about to go and get it. And I have a £10,000 fine for that. I have a £10,000 fine for another thing that I had nothing to do with organising, nor was I present at it. They just happened to come where I was, outside Downing Street, and I gave them a speech. So I have 6 criminal convictions. 6 criminal charges, which I'm about to go to court for. 3 for organising these 3 rallies. I didn't organise any of them. I just was MC. And 3 for participating, along with 40,000 and 35,000 others. But I have that. And 2 10K fines. So I will be fighting that. Actually, I am. Today, we're setting up a crowd justice fund. So maybe once I've done that, I can email it to you and you can promote that. It would be great, because you know, this is our civil rights here. This is our rights as a human. We're fighting against genocide here. And for anyone who sat there on the toilet rolls watching Netflix thinking we're all going to get back to normal, they're deluded. The economy, the farmer is a big investment thing. And it was in trouble. The pensions have been spent. We're switching currencies here. This is not going to ever go back to anything that I remember in my lifetime. You're a lot younger than me. You know, I'm 56 this year. So I just sort of...
Whoa, you look good, woman.
It's makeup. But, you know, this is something that it's for the future of my children might not agree with me. And they might think whatever they think. But one day, hopefully in my lifetime, but certainly in the future, they'll realise that I was indeed fighting for them and every other child and every child in care that's about to be injected. Because it's not a vaccination. It doesn't fulfill the legal definition, but it does fulfill the legal definition of a device. You can look on the CDC website. They're about to be injected with this. And I don't think anyone quite realises. I can tell you all about what it is. And it should put the fear of God into everyone. And if people have had one, don't have any more. It actually states on the government website, this, not only is it going to go into your ribosomes and start making new viral components, spike proteins that attach to all your organs. So when you come into contact with one of the 7 coronaviruses that affect humans, or SARS-CoV-2, you're going to have an immune response that could more than likely kill you. Because it's going to turn in on you. It's going to go, well, wait a minute, we've got these on us. There's over 20 mechanisms of death in these devices. One of them that is pretty horrific is the prion disease, where it blocks a protein to the brain, causes very aggressive dementia, affects the frontal lobe, responsible for attention, tact, and tenacity of endeavour. That means your ability to focus on a task, learn, be socially acceptable, and it's also responsible for facial recognition. You won't be able to recognize anybody. This is just 2 mechanisms. And that's
why we should wear masks.
Yeah. And
so that the machines only get... Sorry, keep going.
And to talk about what's in it as a Christian, you know, this has got the Pfizer one. It's got three ingredients in there that have never, ever been tested for their efficacy. Never been used before.
And also I'm pro-life. So I think
absolutely. So in my cell lines that are in many vaccines, MRC5 from an aborted male fetus, WI38 from a female. And don't think there was just 1 or 2 in there. You know, they got through lots and lots of fetuses to get to this. They're immortalized cell lines. That means that as time goes on, they're tumorigenic. They become cancerous. And where's our evidence of that? 1 in 2 in the UK get cancer in their lifetime. And all the main charities state that by 2050, that's going to be 100%. And this is horrific, but I think you need to hear it. They are trying to get new immortalized cell lines. And they do it in China because you can't do water birth where you take the baby out in the sac in the UK or America. So they're getting these fetuses out. They're not anesthetizing them. They're opening the sacs and they're removing organs from them while they're alive without pain control. And then in Sweden, they're doing a thing where they take, the woman is anesthetized. They go up through the vagina, through the cervix, clamp the head, pull it down to the internal os of the cervix. Then they drill a hole in the skull and they remove the brain while the child's alive. This is fact. Please don't take my word for it. Go and look it up. You'll find it very quickly. Go and research it. It's all there in the public domain. So how you can have the evangelical church, the Jehovah's Witness, and the Catholic Church saying, oh, go and have it. And actually on Revelation TV, the Christian TV network in the UK and Europe, there was some scientists on saying, you know, have it and you're doing your bit. You're doing your bit and these children haven't died in vain. Really? In Thessalonians, it tells us what we shouldn't have in our bodies. Now, there's also aborted kidney cell lines in those vaccines. Now, if we go on to Thessalonians, because you have said you're a Christian, it states what we shouldn't eat in the Bible, what we shouldn't have in our bodies. And remember, when you eat something...
that's the old law, though. But yeah, sorry, keep going.
It's very different when you inject it in, because you miss off the GALT immune system. Our gut protects us. When we eat something bad, we vomit or we get diarrhea. Thessalonians, it says, you shan't eat the bat. Well, the bat has loads of viruses in it. It eats mosquitoes. You shan't eat the swine. The swine eats all the garbage, which is why the meat is often toxic. You get parasites in the meat. You shan't have the eagle. The eagle eats dead prey that's been sitting for a long time and it's full of bacteria. You shan't have the fish with no scales but fins. Well, that's the shark. And they put squalene from shark livers in these devices, in these vaccines. It was in the anthrax vaccine. And we saw all these clotting disorders in the first Gulf War with a lot of the soldiers. So these things have all been done. And it was John Macht of the Johns Hopkins University, author of 6 books, over 900 papers. There's a science paper in his honor. He went on to prove that scripture was indeed correct and how all of these things
scripture is often correct. Bodies.
Yeah. And also, you know, in these vaccines, all vaccines, and in this new device, you have this bovine serum from the calf, and it's a blood ritual. They take the calf out in the sack, open the sack, go into their calf's heart with a needle, and they extract the blood. It's called exsanguination, until that calf exsanguinates and the heart stops beating. This is a blood ritual. This is satanic. Then you have the enzyme in this vaccine, and it's called luciferase. If you don't believe me that there's an enzyme that's used in these things called luciferase, go on to acigen.com. It's one of these bio companies that buys up fetal parts, viruses, funguses, molds, cancers, and they do, you know, dice and splice and make new things. It's all there. It's all there. So let everyone call me mad. I don't care, because I'm sure within a few minutes of talking to me, I've just given you so much information that
you have, and I don't disbelieve it
unless I've researched it.
No, and something that I don't know whether you know anything about me. I know, by the way, guys, I forgot to mention the reason I have this interview with this outspoken, awesome registered nurse, Kate Shemirani, is
I'm not registered. I won't be on their corrupt register.
No, active nurse. Sorry, I know you did say that. That's what I meant to say. I was listening. I apologize. Is because she was recently interviewed by my friend Jimothy. And so thanks to Jimothy, I now have Kate. It's usually me giving Jimothy people because I'm so well connected. This time it was the other way around. So thank you, Jimothy, for the blessing of having the lovely Kate on my channel. I really do appreciate it. Also, that's funny because you're considered racist. Yeah, they call me racist too, by the way. They also call me a lunatic. They also say that I hate my own gender. I don't. They also call me a lot of things. Anyway, yeah, so you're a racist, I'm a racist, we're all evil. It's just retarded. But anyway.
Well, first of all, my children
are half Iranian.
So I can't be racist. I'm not racist.
No, but they call you
the human race here, and this war is on all of us. And
easily,
my black brothers and sisters in Christ, they want you gone first. That's why they're telling you that you're the most vulnerable, and they're going to inject you first. And so don't believe. And this whole they're trying to separate us, divide and conquer, and conquer. And they're doing that with all these all of this, you know, being politically correct. But I'm sorry, but I don't want to offend. Well, actually, if you're offended, then it means you're listening.
Everyone's offended.
For me, there are
can you turn your volume up? Apparently you're too soft. Can you turn your volume up?
I don't know.
I know you're using, guys, she's using her mobile phone, so there's only so much she can do. I can try turn her up on my end too, but It's gonna murder my ears.
I couldn't download this. I'll bring it really clear and frighten all your viewers for the close-up. Is that easier?
I don't know, guys. Can you respond? What's his name? Historic stuff. Can you hear her now? Historic. She isn't loud. It's just the mic and audio settings are different. Is that better?
Yeah, I can't get it any louder, I don't think.
It's not your fault. They're not responding, or it's quite delayed in terms of seconds. Is that better, guys? But anyway, that's okay. Just keep going.
What about if I talk louder?
I don't know. I can hear you fine, to be honest. I can't control. It's audible, someone wrote, so they can hear you. Okay, good.
Okay, so you know, for me, I am a Christian. I've worked with people that when I
can't.
Yeah, better. I think. Can you hear me? Okay?
I can't. You're frozen.
You're frozen for me.
Am I?
Still got the.
All right, hang on. I'm gonna leave and come back. Give me a second. I'm gonna leave and come back. All right. Go ahead. Continue.
Better now. So, you know, for me personally, this is my loud personal opinion. I believe, you know, you only have
one race.
My opinion.
Yeah.
And if you want to identify, that's you, but don't ram my throat. You know, I don't. And Brighton, they have pride. It's a bit like Mardi Gras in Sydney, the epicenter of the UK. Now, sorry, if I were to go down to Brighton, you hear me okay?
If I were to go down to Brighton, I think that's what you just said.
Can you?
I can hear you, but it's breaking up. I'm sorry.
Hello?
Can you hear me? Oh wow. Hello, I can see you, I can hear you. The second you guys talked about the mic and she wanted to bring it closer, and then everything went crazy. I could hear her fine, to be honest, the whole time. I was trying to appease the audience so that they could hear her better, and now it's gone. It's all good. But she's not racist. Her husband, former husband, was Iranian. Don't know whether he was Muslim, but he was Iranian. So I don't know why people say that about her. But she'll come back. Okay, there she is.
Hi. Hi, is that better? How dare
for me?
Someone rang me. How dare they?
To be honest, I could hear you fine the whole time. I was trying to appease the audience, and then that's when everything went crazy. So, but you know, I wanted them to be able to hear you. So go ahead.
What I was saying was, I live near Brighton, and it's like Mardi Gras. And if I were to go to Brighton, and I was with a man, and I was snogging him in the street, and I had my hands down his pants, you know, fondling his meat and two veg publicly, I'd be arrested. Because it's indecent exposure. So I don't really want to see that on Pride Day, which is what you do see. Not all of them. A lot of them are,
no, but
they're just having a good time.
It's degeneracy.
So I don't want to have it rammed down my throat as an excuse to behave in a way which is offensive when there's children around. And I'm not saying it's just that community that do it, because I've seen some of the young girls out with their boobs out, backsides out, you know, drunk, behaving.
Not me.
In a way.
I don't have boobs. Yeah.
So you know, I'm not racist. I'm not.
I know that. I know that.
But I am very much. I celebrate men. I don't consider myself to be I don't like, you know, I've been told, oh, you're anti-women's lib, you'll lose a lot of supporters. I don't care. I like men. Men are in the Bible. They, you know, we are Ema, we're the foundation to the family, we're the neck, they're the head. We can't function without them. They cannot function without us. We've emasculated an entire generation of men. And if you think women's lib and Emily Pankhurst throwing herself under a horse was for you, you're mistaken. It was the Rockefeller Foundation who funded the suffragette movement to get us into the workforce so they could tax us, make this family unstable, and get our kids into school to brainwash them. That's exactly what it was about. So what little bit of, you know, we got, they took from us. And but we have really emasculated our men. And that now we're like, oh, we want our men to stick up for us. Well, quit making them, you know, quit emasculating them. They're not like us. They're different. And we're not like them. And we have to accept that.
We do have to accept that. This is something that people find confusing, but I say to people that I'm an anti-feminist, but that I'm pro-woman. They're like, what? It's like, well, of course I'm pro-woman. Why would I hate women? Why would I hate what I am? But at the same time, I'm not a feminist. It's not that hard a concept to grasp, but it is for some people. I feel like maybe you're the same as me, only maybe minus the labels.
Yeah, I don't really, you know, the whole feminism thing, anything that's got an ism on the end of it, generally has been thought up by the very people that worship Satan. It really has. All of these things, communism, socialism, anything with an ism on it is something that I really don't want to know.
I think I'm there with you on that one. Well, let me ask you a little bit about your experience as a nurse. What was it? What made you come out about C19? I'm saying that term on purpose, guys, because I don't want my friend's channel taken down, because I'm not even using my own channel at the moment. What was it about it that made you come out about it? Like, were you one day working in the field and then saw how they were treating patients and were just suddenly angry?
Tell me. I was very much out there anyway about the whole oncology system, and let's not make any bones here. And I'll use Dr. Kevin Corbett's terms. There has been a Nazification of the NHS, and now it's just been taken over by the government. Signed, sealed, delivered. So what we've seen for many, many years is many inquiries. But look, morphine and midazolam has been used so much to kill patients. It's a chemical kosh. That's why when they talk about a nice death, people were put on what was called the Liverpool Care Pathway in the UK. And as soon as they were on that, they were guaranteed they were going to die. And relatives got wind of this and they started like taking in food and water. And many of these patients then, of course, survived. So on the 29th of April last year, 2020, NICE, which is a body, gave doctors and nurses the authority that anyone who was critical frailty score 6 through 9, that might mean you need help with washing and dressing. You might have had a stroke. You might be disabled. And up to 9 is someone who's terminally ill. If they couldn't reach their life goals, the doctors and nurses have the authority to remove all essential medication and food and water. Well, in my book, that's murder. It's euthanasia, and I don't like it. And so what we have in the UK is a blanket do not resuscitate. And this was coming out. People started to tell me, and now we have a blanket do not resuscitate on the disabled. So I went very publicly and spoke out about, you know, what COVID-19 was, and it hadn't been isolated. And people straight away, because I was already known, I had, you know, over 100,000 on one page on Facebook, 400,000 traffic a week on another, big Instagram following, YouTube. Then I got onto Twitter and amassed 40,000 in a couple of months. But people started coming to me, and what they were telling me and backing it up was harrowing. And actual patients, I had a patient ring me from hospital. It was disgusting what they were doing. You've got doctors now saying to patients, you're not going to be resuscitated. And it's almost like it's given them a license to kill. So then I started to see the dancing nurses. And let me tell you, a lot of them are so fat, they need to dance a bit more, break sweat and lose weight.
Yeah, those dancing nurses piss me off.
I don't know who gave them the title as health advisors. They don't even know how to sort their own health out with their big fat behinds. You know, these were people that were bitching and moaning about lack of PPE gear. And here they were dancing. Now, my hobby is dancing. I did ballet,
Oh, nice.
dancing as a child, and now I learn flamenco. I'm badly.
I'm half
really
Spanish. I'm half Spanish. I can't dance flamenco.
Wonderful. Well, I have a daughter, Paloma, and
lovely name, Paloma. Yeah.
So you know, I know how difficult it is to dance, to learn the steps, and to learn a routine. And here I was watching great big choreographed routines, which they must have had an awful lot of spare time on their hands. And in the background, we could see empty departments. Now, in my day, when you went into a hospital, you did that, you'd get disciplined. You went outside in your uniform, disciplined. And here they all were in the supermarkets, in their gear, getting clapped. Then we were expected to be out banging saucepans. And the nurses started to say to me, ones who have good discernment, and Christian nurses, we're not busy, it's a lie. And they were sending me photographs. They made an announcement on the news that this particular hospital was really full and busy. And a nurse said, it's simply not true. Let me send you the pictures now. And she sent them to me in live time. So, you know, they're going along with it. A lot of them, they're getting discounts everywhere. They were getting food parcels, and then it began to leave a bad taste in a lot of their mouths. And now they're all coming out. So, you know, when I start to see cancer diagnosis for breast cancer going down, and my thing is cancer and what causes it, every single cancer bar couple, the trajectories up the way, and we're aiming for 100% by 2050. Now all of a sudden breast cancer is going down. Never has it gone down in 30 years. It's because the diagnostic clinics are closed. So everything, it's now the COVID service. It's the COVID service.
Yeah.
And then there was a video came out yesterday, you know, a patient who hadn't even had the test, and this nurse is saying, well, you know, he's got symptoms of COVID. And they said he had a breathing condition, COPD. He will have low oxygen. Turned out they hadn't tested him, but they put COVID on his notes. I also discovered very early on, every COVID diagnosis, the hospital or care home gets money. When you go on the ventilator, more money.
I saw that.
And then we saw suicides, heart attacks, lung disease, cancer, diabetes, old age deaths, just getting killed in an accident. If you die within 4 weeks of a positive test, it's a COVID death. So this is all a huge lie. It's the biggest crime that's ever been perpetrated on us, the people.
Do you think it's a lie though? Because I do believe that the illness is out there, that it exists. I believe that what they're doing is exaggerating it and highly commercializing it and fear-mongering us for it. But even whilst I believe that, I believe Christians are doing a lot of really stupid shit too. Like Christians are saying this, and you may be on this side, and I apologize in advance if you're one of the ones saying this, but I get mad at Christians, very angry at Christians who say this is the mark of the beast. It doesn't match the biblical events. The mark of the beast is going to be on the forehead or on the wrist or on the forehead. The Antichrist will have sat at a throne in Israel, in Jerusalem. Someone would have been in power for 3.5 years of peace, and then there'll be another 3.5 years. None of those events have come to pass. No, I don't either. Okay, good. We're on the same page. Cool. I didn't expect that, to be honest. I thought you were going to say.
I'm listening to some lectures, and we've been in Genesis and Revelation many times. The Bible is not a biography, a theology. It's showing us this is the consequences. And here's an example. It's like that all the time. It's a manual of how to live your life almost. Absolutely. You know, I didn't bring my children up with Christ in their lives. They went to a little church school, but we didn't follow
that's good.
any of it. And now I reap.
But at least you gave it to them.
I'm reaping what I've sown. I've had my son betray me. I'm reaping what I've sown, as we all do. And, you know, I've had a double mastectomy and a reconstruction. And on day 2, I signed myself out of that hospital when I was reading Dr. Max Gerson's report of 50 cases. So the consequences of me listening to pharmakia, which the Greek translation is witchcraft and sorcery. This is idolatry. We idolize pharmakia, which we shouldn't. Genesis 1:21, everything you need you shall find in the seeds of the fruits of the trees. Vitamin B17 has 4 molecules. Has glucose, benzaldehyde, and cyanide, totally inert. But when they come into contact with beta-glucosidase, which is found in much greater quantity,
Hello? Hello? Can't hear you. Can't hear you. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Can't hear you. Can't hear you. I can't hear you. Hang on, I'm gonna refresh it. Can you guys hear her? Can you guys hear her? Because I can't hear her. Can you guys hear her? Can you guys hear her? I can't hear her. Okay. I like her. She's really she's got like pizzazz and can you speak? Can't hear you. Get some headphones. Get headphones. This is weird. I could hear her a moment ago. She is magnificent, Jessie. I agree with you. She's pretty awesome. She's a go-getter. No, can't hear her. How weird. Jimothy, if you're watching, thanks. I really appreciate this. She's pretty awesome. I just wish that her technology worked. All right, let's have a look.
Is that better?
Oh, I can hear you. Yes, 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 yes. We got there. Oh my gosh. Yes.
If I suddenly have to go off, take my earphones off, it's because I have to plug my phone in again because I wasn't expecting to do it on it. So look, what I was saying, pharmaceutical drugs, everything always comes side if there's no cure in a drug. And they'll give you a drug, and then they give you, there's something really simple. Your stomach acid has to be 1.5 to 3.5 in order to extract your nutrients. It also keeps your gut flora at bay. And if you don't have the right stomach acid, you'll end up with all this yeast overgrowth. So when you don't have enough stomach acid, the little valve of your food pipe doesn't close. So you get food coming up, and then this reads. So what should you do? You should give like apple cider vinegar, 15 to 20 mils in a 200 ml glass of water, not glasses. But you should give them that just before they eat their food. What do the allopaths give you? Who were the quacks? They give you antacid, meprazole. So now you can't extract your nutrients. Now you've got overgrowth of gut flora. And then you end up as well then with having deficiencies, and you can't absorb your vitamin D, your calcium sticks to it. Your vitamin K tells it where to go. You haven't got that. So you end up getting brittle bones. You end up needing blood pressure tablets. It damages the heart. And meprazole, also statin drugs that they give everybody for cholesterol. It blocks the CoQ10, which is the heart protecting enzyme. Pharmaceutical drugs. Okay, there's a small window where they're good and they talk about antibiotics, but there's so many natural things that you don't need to go to. The antibiotics, first off, all they do is get you into more and more problems, but it's all about the big dollar. It's about money. We're meat to them. They just want to make money off you. And this is where we've been sold the lie. I was sold it, that we can catch which is going back to your question when you said about you believe there's something. First of all, COVID-19 does not exist. It's never been purified and isolated and proven to exist using Cox postulates. It hasn't. It's like having a big piece of that sequence was missing and they pulled a bit off the internet and slotted it in. Yes, you probably have been sick. You might have been sick with flu and also remember when they vaccinate with flu, 2019's flu vaccine had 4 untested influenzas in it and the highly pathogenic H1N1 in it. These are not natural. And then they're shedding on you. So, you know, the whole thing about you can catch a virus, they're exosomes. We're told that, I'm looking at my hair here, Spanish flu. Spanish flu was another lie.
I'm realizing.
They were coming out of war. They were eating lots of canned food. Canning destroys zinc. Zinc's required by your mast cells in your respiratory tract. Then they gave all the soldiers the experimental vaccines in Kansas. 4 out of 5 of those soldiers died of that shot, not being shot. They hid them in secret graves. They buried them in secret graves. The testimonies of the ones that survived at that time were horrific. Then they went off round to war shedding. You had your radar operators who were getting sick because they'd introduced radar. When you change the electromagnetic field of the earth, you always get sickness. You need the electrical field of daylight, the sunshine, to make the fluid in your cells called the little mitochondria in your cells, the fluid. And that fluid also is nutrition for your immune cells. Every cell has a vitamin D receptor on it. Vitamin D is actually a hormone. But, you know, you get the midday sun when your shadow is short on your skin, changes your cholesterol into vitamin D, your calcium binds to it. This is all connected. So what they did was they had all these soldiers go out and they've got the radar operators sick. You've got the young and the old getting sick, coming out of war. And they said, oh, we've got all these vaccines left over. What are we going to do with it? So the doctors in Kansas had to hide the fact they were getting sick. So they said, well, give it a name. Spanish flu, far off. No one will know that. Spain wasn't very pleased. And they said, the government said, it's every man, woman and child's patriotic duty. I think I've heard that before, to have these vaccines because the soldiers are going to be coming home from war and spreading this bacteria onto you. Out went men, women and children having this experimental vaccine. And they died everywhere, all over the place, except for Greece, who wouldn't allow the vaccines in. And none of them died of it. Now, the ones that ended up in the hospitals, the sanitariums, they gave them a drug that was unlicensed, owned by Bayer. Go research Bayer and IG Farben, back to the Nazis.
I'm gonna research a lot of what you've said. I think people think that you just expect everyone to believe you, but the fact is, you often say, "Don't take my word for it. Look it up."
Go research.
You saying that makes you, I think, valid. Anyway, sorry, keep going.
So Bayer, this drug, they gave the patients in the sanitariums, the very famous photograph that we've all seen of all these people lying crammed in this ward. They gave them 1,400 milligrams every hour for 12 hours. Do you know what that drug was? Aspirin. Do you know what that would do? Overdosing you with aspirin, you would get hemorrhaging everywhere. You would get fluid in your lungs. What did they all die from? Fluid in their lungs, wet lungs. That's what they died from. We've been here before. They use the same old dirty tactics. Now, if you go back to the Nazification of the NHS, this is exactly the same in Australia. And guys, you out there, your government has sold you out. You've just been sold out that you can have Chinese troops on Australian soil in national emergencies, and they are going to be exempt from criminal charges. Oh, yes. Go look that up. My family are all in Australia. That's how I look at this. My beloved sister is there. My nephews, my aunts, uncles, cousins, my mum is there. So look, so you know, this is what they're going to do. We've been here before. So the Nazis, everything they did was legal. They passed all the laws, just like we have now, all these new laws while everyone's sitting on their toilet rolls. They're all being passed. And what the Nazis did was they got the nurses and they made them believe they're heroes and what they're doing, and the doctors, what they're doing is for the greater good. And there was a French guy that I don't remember, I've got the thing, who he worked for, but he actually said exactly how they would do this. And what these nurses did, we took the disabled children, the disabled adults, and they were all taken into hospitals, and they were either killed with a concoction of drugs, or they were died of exposure, or they were starved to death. And these nurses were called the nurses of the Third Reich, and they stood trial as the nurses will stand trial today. Now, you also had the gypsy population were completely annihilated. Gays, blacks, Russians,
Christians, political prisoners,
Jehovah's Witnesses, Christians. And I know I've upset the Jewish population, the Jewish Chronicle. They've featured me in their magazine a few times because I dared to say...
I was going to ask you about that, but then I chose not to.
When are they going to wake up? When they're on the cattle trucks or when they're in the showers? I've got cows up my nose. And but I'm sorry, if you're Jewish, please don't be offended. We know that happened. We know. We're not saying it didn't. And we also know that lots of other people died in the Holocaust. You don't own it. The gypsies.
No,
the
gypsies,
Jews,
Christians.
blacks. Yeah, everybody. But what I'm saying is, I'm offended. I'm offended that they're slaughtering my elderly, my disabled. These are the people. We have a duty above being a nurse as being a citizen to stop abuses of human rights and genocide. So if you're offended, tough. I don't care. I'm offended. And I'm trying to save the children in care, children out there whose parents are either too ignorant, too stupid, or they have no discernment. And they're taking their children to the sacrificial altar to have these devices injected into them, which is going to kill them. It's certainly going to shorten their lives. You're going to see millions dropping within the next 6 months, and they're going to call it COVID-21. We've been here in history before. These are gangsters. They're Satanists. And not on my watch. I'll just keep preaching it.
Did you know that here in Australia, all the politicians in 2018, I could be wrong, it might be 2019, bought the needles, bought the COVID testing 2.5 years prior to it coming out. So that to me,
it's all been planned.
It's
all been planned.
Yeah.
I've asked 5 soldiers recently jogging on the forest. They're not being offered the vaccine yet. They're not giving it to prison guards, but they're giving it to prisoners. It's kind of fishy, that one. And now we had this Boris Johnson who went to Eton, part of the whole globalist agenda. He's just a puppet. I mean, how many kids has he got to different women? I mean, for goodness sake, marry a baby mama at least. Yeah, he's got ex-wife, next one. Then the girl that lives with him who spends $12,000 a month from the farm shop when people are using food banks here and losing their jobs. Those pair of vulgar monstrosities are just, you 12 grand a month, really? So, he's not even married to her. It's not really setting our laws in this country are based on God's laws. So marry your baby mama, Boris. I
agree.
Absolutely. Don't walk the walk. Don't talk the talk till you can. What is it? Don't walk the walk till you can talk the talk. But my point being here, he was on the news yesterday saying, we're going to have to live with this and this COVID-19, and we're going to be putting money into new drugs and another booster because the first 2 haven't killed you, so they just need to keep mopping up the extras. And he's now saying, take a tablet. And he said, we took the dexamethasone. Good Lord. Go and look up all the side effects of dexamethasone, seizures, problems with your heart, problems with your pancreas, problems with your liver, what to take in case you come into contact. We're using the PCR test that Carrie Mullis said should never be used as a diagnostic. We're using it without symptoms, in absence of symptoms, asymptomatic. Never in my career is someone who's asymptomatic sick. And then they're doing all these cycles of it. There's no gold standard. So everyone's a winner, baby. That's for sure. Everyone that gets tested, they're having the test kits and they know, because it's written on them, whether you're going to be test negative or positive. It's all a scam. And the bit that we've got our teeth into now is that the British government purchased all the midazolam from France into this country. Midazolam is a sedative. It's used in anesthesia as well, used as end-of-life care, as I've already said. And it's used with morphine. And we bought a massive amount of midazolam. The sales of midazolam have risen exponentially. We know that there's been no extra deaths really compared with the last 10 years. If you look on Public Health England, don't take my word for it. Go on to Public Health England. This is for you to look at, everybody. And look up all the deaths, who dies of what every year. And they are, you know, morphine is used as a painkiller, and it's licensed as a painkiller. Off license means it's used for its side effects. One of the side effects are it depresses the respiratory center in your brain, your hypothalamus, makes your respiration short and shallow. You give too much, someone will stop breathing. So it's used in end of life care. It's a great drug for killing people. What are they doing?
Yeah.
They're killing people. You can bet your bottom dollar. So I'm just going to have to plug this in. So you must tell me if you can't hear me.
Okay.
We use the devil's tools. So,
well, yeah.
Pardon?
I can hear you.
Yeah, so
I can hear you. Yeah.
This is what they're doing. So where is all this midazolam and morphine gone? You know, these are our elderly people. These are a civilized society. Is a society that takes care of its elderly, its young,
yes,
and its infirm. And yet we have been socially conditioned to see our elderly. It's kind of, you know, I see young girls. I once saw a young girl in a hairdresser, and she said she didn't like washing hair of the old people because their scalps felt funny. I mean, our elderly should be absolutely worshipped, because getting old is not something that's a God-given right. I've seen people, when I worked in the emergency room and nursing in that setting, you die as a baby, you die as a child, you die of illness, or you can be killed. It's part of life. An adolescent, a young person, an old person, an adult. If you don't accept that death is part of life, you cannot live. God decides when we die. Only God above. That's why I saw people in the emergency room who, had they have left 1 minute later or 1 minute earlier, or sat in one different place in the car, they'd been alive.
That's horrible.
You know, and also I deal with a lot of cancer patients, and some of them should live, but they've been told you've got 6 months to live, and they die to that 6 months. You know, we are not this physical form. This, as we think it, so shall we speak it, has a massive effect on the human body. On the end of our DNA, go look up what DNA is. We have these little things on the end called telomeres. Telomeres. Every time a cell divides, a little bit of the telomere snaps off. There was a study done in the 60s. I forget her name. I've read so much. And she did a study showing that the thing that affected aging and disease, the disease process, more than our environment, because we are what we eat, today's food becomes tomorrow's cells, was our emotional state. Do we feel loved? Do we feel that we're worthy? Do we feel that we're part of something? And you know, all those low emotions of anger, resentment, jealousy, they resonate at between 0.2 and 2 hertz. The emotions of joy, love, giving resonate at 180 to 200 hertz. I believe the earth resonates at 7 point something hertz. This is a PhD study. It's not woo woo we should call in Australia. This is fact. Don't take my word for it. Get educating yourselves. It's the most empowering thing. Don't think that these scientists, just because they've got letters after their name, are more intelligent than someone who might just be a plumber. I love plumbers. Because they're not. It just means that they managed to go through an indoctrinated Rockefeller school and remember the bullshit that they were taught and were able to write it out. They're just spouting the same old lies and crap. Go look it up. It will empower you. So you see, these telomeres, what affects them is how we feel, what we think. So if you keep watching the TV and all this crap that's there churning out, because it is propaganda, they are terrorizing us. Then you're going to believe it. You're going to get fearful. Get your Bible, get reading, empower yourself. Onto the terrorizing. If you go onto Amnesty International and you look up, the Red Army were the very best at breaking prisoners. And they used a very simple torture technique called the 3Ds: disability, dependency, and dread. The disability, wear a mask, the mask of subjugation, no science behind it. Everyone looks like they're diseased, makes everyone fearful. We've got these campaigns, act like you've got it, act like you've got it, you're asymptomatic. And one of the campaigns, don't kill Granny. What about Grandpa? Should we kill him? But don't kill granny. So that's your disability. Dependency. You're dependent on the government for every word. You're relying on them for furlough, for handouts, for money. And then dread. They're telling us there's going to be a third wave. We know they're going to lock us down. So you're dreading when it's next coming. They are terrorizing us under the 2006 Terrorism Act. They are criminals.
It's fear mongering. This is what I said earlier. This is why I hate it when Christians do it as well. Yeah.
Porn. And you know those Christians who shut the churches, who advocate injection?
Yeah.
They don't know Christ. Yeah. They don't know Christ. Because if they knew Christ, they would know this is the house of God. This. Not idolizing a building and shutting it because they're terrified of the boogeyman and they're getting injected. They will stand in judgment like the rest of us.
Oh, absolutely. It was interesting. You're the first, amen completely. You're the first person to really talk about the elderly with such affection. Not the first person. What I mean is that I've interviewed plenty of people, and you sound so loving toward them. It's really funny because I'm new here to Sydney. I'm actually from the state of Melbourne, which has the worst COVID lockdown, I think, on the planet. I think maybe next to Chile.
The worst lying lockup. Let's call it a lockup, not a lockdown.
A lockup.
Locking us up, and that lockup is invisible. You hold all the power.
I never experienced it. I left. I left for different reasons, and I got stuck. Yeah, absolutely.
The whole city went out. Imagine the whole city said, "I don't believe
F off.
It's a lie."
Yeah.
If we saw Black Lives Matter do it, they didn't drag them off the streets. No,
Melbourners could do that.
Those pussy-whipped men took the knee.
They did.
Took the knee. Let me remind any cops watching this: you are civilians in uniform, of the people, for the people. We pay your wages with our council tax. You took an oath, and yet you were out there carrying out the tyrannical requests of a government that have gone over and above the powers that we, the people, bestowed upon them when we voted them in, if you do indeed believe in a true democratic society. Politics is Hollywood for ugly people. They're the lying liars of lies. And cops, you might think you've got a job. They're coming for you next. They don't need you. 5G can hear through the walls. They don't need you. You'll be surplus to requirements. So when they're done killing us and your kids and your family, they're going to kill you next. I can absolutely guarantee that.
Well, I was going to say that in Melbourne, when I go back, because I go back often, I'm based in Sydney now, but I'm always going to go home to Melbourne. I don't wear the masks inside the supermarkets. I'm not exempt. I could get an exemption. It'd be very easy for me to get one. I work as a dental assistant sometimes. I don't do that very often anymore. I do it here and there. But the point is that I wear the mask all the time, and it's quite shocking to hear the dentists talking to their patients, and the patients go, "Yeah, I'm getting the COVID vaccine next week. Oh, I'm so excited." And I'm like, and the dentist believes it's a good thing. I'm like, what is wrong with these people?
Well,
it's
you're
like
talking about dentists who still think that fluoride is good for your teeth. Even
I'm
though
sorry,
it
is because the teeth of the elderly today have lasted a lot longer than they would have 50 years ago without fluoride.
Total rubbish. I'm not going to have you say that, and I'll challenge you to it. You prove it to me. I will show you thousands of studies from the Environmental Protection Agency, thousands of studies. When you have fluoride, you mix it with like BPA, which is in all your containers, in all your cans, it expresses, I believe, 137, 136 more genes that shouldn't be expressed. You have 10 billion miles of genes. You put in one gene that shouldn't be there, or take one out, or translocate. You express genes that shouldn't be there, and you'll get a profound effect. So what happens when you have fluoride and you mix it with glyphosate in the gut? It forms 6 new compounds that shouldn't be there. Fluoride calcifies the pineal gland. Fluoride displaces iodine from the thyroid gland. So does chlorine. So does bromine. Your thyroid gland converts cholesterol to pregnenolone, progesterone, and bile acid. The first 2 are the youth-giving hormones. They keep everything supple and soft, your blood vessels. Bile acid, you need, it's like the detergent for your digestion, but it's also the gallbladder is needed to help convert your inactive thyroid hormones T4 to T3. You push the thyroid down. The biggest cause of disease in the human body is lack of iodine. Fluoride displaces it. They did the studies on fluoride in the Nazi concentration camps. They gave the people fluoride to a child, to an infant, has a profound effect on IQ. There's a Harvard study from 2012 showing that fluoride, particularly in babies, and I think it was in black males, decreases their IQ. That's fact. That's a Harvard study. Now, when you become old, it causes fluorosis of the skeleton. When your bones start to degrade, you get poisoned all over again. There are thousands of studies. Fluoride, also, when I talked about making of the fluid in the mitochondria, fluoride stops that electrical field. Fluoride is a toxin. It shouldn't be in any drugs, shouldn't be in the water. You should not have fluoride. You should use a distiller. You should use a distiller or a Berkey water filter. There's fluoride in a lot of drugs. You shouldn't have it. Your teeth. My children never had fluoride toothpaste and they didn't have any cavities. Non-fluoride toothpaste. And until you buy it, get yourself some coconut oil. It's antibacterial. It's antifungal. And you brush your teeth with it. Using oil pulling, it also stops gum recession. I honestly, go and look up a study with dental nurses working.
I'm a dental nurse.
Working in that setting. Go and look up about mercury and the amount of spontaneous abortions that happened to dental nurses because of mercury, which is used in amalgam fillings. Go look, everyone on here, Price Pottinger Foundation. If you want to really hear the lie that is dentistry, root canals, go and look up all the Price Pottinger Foundation. Their dentist industry is just another arm of big pharma. It's corrupt, and holistic dentists are fantastic. The ones that tell you you need fluoride, they're gangsters. I've presented dentists with papers on fluoride. Incidentally, your thyroid gland works like a seesaw with your adrenals. When your adrenals are up, that's your fright and flight, where you secrete adrenaline, cortisol. If that was prolonged, it makes everything hard, pushes your immunity down because it's pushing your thyroid down, and it makes you stressed and you get sick. That's what they're doing with this media, fear porn. Your thyroid converts your cholesterol. Now, there's something that happens. Estrogen, high estrogen, and that's your synthetic estrogens, pesticides, herbicides, also anything with an aroma, or your cosmetics, or your detergents, or your deodorants, your shampoo, anything with a nice smell. This is all clean makeup that I use. They are synthetic estrogens. They hijack the binding agent that your thyroid needs. What do we see? We see breast cancer going up. And women with high estrogen. You can bring your estrogen down by changing your diet, changing your environment. It's no good just giving you tamoxifen, that's a drug. But you've got to get off that fluoride. I'm telling you, fluoride is one of my big things. It is a
look, to be honest, I haven't looked into it that much. I just know that that older people that come in, their teeth last a lot longer. I'm not disputing what you're saying about the IQ and all that stuff. I haven't looked into it, so I'm not going to comment on it. But it seems to be true that
I bet you'll get old people in your dentist, and they'll be on at least 6 or 7 different drugs. They won't be healthy. They'll have osteoporosis.
Well, old people are old.
No, I disagree. Now you're a Christian. Come on. You're supposed to live you're at least 120. The Hunsas in the Himalayas don't have any cancer in their history, and
because they're not eating processed food, with steroids, with chemtrails. They're not eating. That's probably why.
Well, they eat everything from the apricot plant with the B17, which I've already talked about. Then let's go to the Inuits. The Inuits eat all meat. The Eskimos, the true Eskimos, but they eat the caribou, which grazes for miles and miles and miles. And when they get the caribou, the first thing they eat is the stomach, which is full of the grasses, which is nitrilicide. This is this B17 again. So, we live in a toxic soup, toxic air.
I agree. I'm not disputing that.
Toxic water, fluoride, chlorine. bromine in all our fire retardants,
Mm.
toxic food, herbicides, fungicides, pesticides, estrogen mimickers, but also commercially grown food is only grown in potassium, phosphorus, and nitrogen, just 3 things to make it grow big and colorful, but it's devoid of nutrients. When you grow organic and biodynamic, it's grown in over 42 nutrients. So when we become deficient, what is cancer? Toxicity and deficiency. Then you can't generate an immune response. So you have a cell with a damaged DNA, your immunity will either kill that cell or repair it. If it doesn't and it divides, mitosis, now you have a mutation. If it continues to divide, you're going to get a tumor. So this is what our immunity does. And the fats that we eat, the fats make the lining of our outside thing of our cell. Sugar in our natural foods, in the presence of oxygen that we breathe in the air that God gave us, generate ATP. It generates energy. Now that cell, you need cold pressed black soil. You need hemp oil. You don't cook with them. You have a couple of tablespoons of cold pressed black soil a day. You can put it in a dressing. It draws oxygen to the cell. It's life. All of your hydrogenated fats, all of your rubbish safflower, all of your canola oils, they push oxygen away from the cell. You know, this is all part of it. So if you're eating in McDonald's, I have seen you queuing, you're waiting for your Big Mac. That's garbage food. If you're
of course it is.
And wearing your mask, your subjugation tool, and waiting for your killer injection, you're a mug. And your ignorance is costing me my freedom and costing my children their lives.
The funny thing is that I don't go in stores and wearing the mask. In fact, I've even questioned shops and I've said to them, why do you have this policy? I don't understand. It's actually, you know, you don't need to have that policy. But what I find interesting is that I'm questioned by so many people. I did a video called Why I Love Masks, and it was like I was being sarcastic throughout the whole video, and then I'm wearing all these really hot outfits and I'm like, guys, look at this really lovely mask, and I actually went out of my way.
I've seen that.
Did you?
I have seen that, yeah.
Did you see that video?
It was really funny.
Thank you. Oh my god, yeah, I was so sarcastic in the video. I'm like, oh my god, guys, when you're waiting in the lines for bread and water, you can look so hot in your outfit and mask. Like that, I said stuff like that, and the video got the video got banned from YouTube. They gave me a strike.
Yeah,
and so it's now
see my video, the Bill Gates Vax headquarters, #say no to the prick.
No,
I was dressed as a nurse and I made the vaccine in my blender, and I put in mercury and aborted everything.
Oh, I did see that. Oh, okay.
I had a nurse's hat on. I'd made a nurse's hat, and we had my daughter's doll. And I said, "Give me your arm," and my friend went, "No," and I went, "Oh, give me a baby," and you know, it was that got banned, and I think that had like 1 million views everywhere. It's still doing the rounds on BitChute. Please go.
That's hilarious. Oh no, I think I have, but I'll watch it again. My video did well. It got over 1,000 views. I mean, well for me. I'm not anyone. I'm trying to build a profile to talk about things that are important to my mind. But then on BitChute, it's almost on 1,000 again. So it recirculated, just not as well as it would. I'll
circulate it. I'll put it on our nursing pages. Let's give it some airtime. It's,
oh my god! Thank you.
We need to do
so
that.
Sweet.
We'll get it out there. But you know, I think
I will look into fluoride, okay? I will do my best to look into
viewers. No one is going to look after you better than you. I don't have a government. What the word governance, that I don't want them to rule me. We should have every little town and village should have its own appointed committee. And
I like that. I like that.
Laws, where they're based on God's laws, and they're being
the 10 Commandments
everywhere. And you know, what's happening is atrocious. And I would say to everyone, pick up a King James version of the Bible. Just pick it up. I don't like to be called religious, because I'm not. I've had lots
of
yeah,
I agree with that.
Lots of people. In fact, if you go onto BitChute, put it in, there is a video knocking about of me standing in the pulpit of a church where I gave a 2.5-minute sermon. and my little chihuahuas were bombing around the church, and I literally said they didn't know God, and I read out the ingredients of a vaccine, and I did it from the pulpit of a church. So to take responsibility. If someone is telling you, if someone came down a train platform at you with a big knife in their hand, you're going to run away. If someone comes down a train platform at you with a big gun, an AK-47 or a pistol, you're going to run away really fast. Now, both of those weapons might kill you. There's also a possibility that you might survive. You might get hit in a place with a bullet or stabbed, and it might dodge, a vital blood vessel or organ. Someone came down a train platform with a syringe with something in it to inject it in you, you'd run away because it might kill you straight away, or you might survive but be very sick. But if I come down the stairs and into a department dressed like this with a syringe, and I don't know what's in it. Well, I personally do know what's in it, but I can tell you right now, those nurses do not know what's in it, nor do the vaccinators, because if they do, one, they're committing murder and they're complicit in a crime, or two, they're really stupid. Absolutely stupid, because we are supposed to know what's in a vaccine, what it does, and we're supposed to tell the patient, because otherwise in a court of law, we can be held up for medical battery. There's no liability to the pharmaceutical company for these. No vaccine's ever been proven safe, incidentally. No vaccine's ever been proven effective. And no two vaccines have ever been tested together for their efficacy. So you're already the experiment with every vaccine. And that's fact. If you don't believe me, take me through a court of law. Let's get all the evidence on the table. And let's get it all out there for the public to learn the truth. And that's why they won't. But if I came at you with a needle and said, oh, it's COVID-19, just because I'm dressed like this, you might believe me. Do not believe the nurses and doctors on this one. They're lying to you, as the government are. Ask them what's in it. Ask them what it does to the body. Go on to VAERS, VAERS. It's the American reporting system. Go on to MHRA. There's already been thousands of deaths. There's in just those two countries, if you add them all up, there's been thousands upon thousands of adverse reactions. Some of them life-changing. This is fact. MHRA, which is our governing body that we report it to, it's a yellow card system, put out a tender in October of 2020 for artificial intelligence, for a computer program to handle the amount of adverse reactions, that means from death down to a rash, that they are expecting. So these criminals knew. And how many times do you need to be shown on the media? Fake syringes, needles missing, squirting with celebrities and politicians. They're not getting this. They want you. You're the minion. You're just a slave. They don't care about you. They're not going to get it because they've all sold out. Mariah Carey, I can't even listen to her music anymore. And that was when she was slim and fabulous. Now she's bloated and satanic. On there, screaming, oh, I'm getting my vaccine. And this is the other thing. It's very clever what they're doing. I don't know why I'm whispering. It's a detached house, and I'm sure they won't watch this. But my neighbours, who are wonderful, 18 years plus I've been next to them. She actually said to a guy in front of me, oh, he was sending daddy's vaccine. She went, oh, well done. We've had ours. And they're giving people badges for having them. We're not at war. The only people we've had.
We are at war.
On to us. No. They've declared war on us, the people. That's what's happening. So when they go, well done, it's your patriotic duty. I'm a hero. I'm an injector. I'm doing my bit. Save the NHS. Let's blow rainbows out our asses. Ooh la la. They're lying. Take responsibility. Get researching. And I want to leave you with this, because it's really, really, it's something really close to me that I would say. Like I say, we have 10 billion miles of DNA, about 37 terabytes, if that's your thing. That's the way your mind works. It's your computer program of life. Your 2 eyes, nose, ears, mouth, where your heart is, who you are, green eyes, blonde hair. Well, it used to be blonde. It's your computer program. It's your binary code. It's your encyclopedia, if you like, of who you are in your pocket when you're of this creator. If you take out one piece of that DNA and put a piece in somewhere else, that shouldn't be there, or translocate, swap a couple of bits around. You change that. You change who you are. We don't know the consequences of that because it's not been done. What we do know is when you have like Duchenne muscular dystrophy, gene exon 44 isn't expressed, and we see profound effects on people with Duchenne muscular dystrophy. So if you're having this experimental device injected into you, and now it's changing you, which the Johnson & Johnson one is a fragment of DNA, which they're injecting into you. And these other ones, they have the potential to change your DNA, then you're no longer of the creator.
I understand what you're saying.
You're genetically modified now. Could you potentially be patented? Is it even genocide to kill you? You have to really think about that.
Those are solid questions.
What is it to you to be human? What is it to you? What is it to all your listeners to be human? Because you're now, are you transhuman? What are you? And I think that's a really good point to end on. Ask yourself what it is to be human. For me, it's to be of the creator.
I think that's the best way to put it, because some time ago I interviewed a fella named Tim Alberino, and he's an expert on like the Nephilim and giants and that kind of stuff. They couldn't go to heaven. He said what qualifies you for heaven is being human. They couldn't go to heaven. So when they die, the spirits are just trapped on the earth. It's like, so the answer is to be of the creator. That's that. It has to be that. Like, what else? It has to be that.
Can we just finish? Now you brought that up, it's wonderful. Genesis, when they talked about the Nephilims and the daughters of man mating the Nephilims, and God was so dismayed at his creation. Everyone was, partying and acting abhorrently, and so he decided he was going to kill everything. And Noah found favor with the Lord, and he told Noah, build the ark, put all the animals in it. And he told Noah to go out and tell everyone, and they mocked him and they laughed at him. And look what happened. So when we talk about the Bible not being a biography, it's theology is teaching us. There's a good example of what's happening today as well.
I love, that's a perfect parallel. Perfect parallel. We can leave it there if you want.
Yeah, isn't that wonderful? So you see, we're told to, it's all there. And it's all there for us to see. God gave us eyes to see and ears to hear. There's no one better than me who loves to put on some music and put my earphones on. I love Luther Vandross. I love it loud. It damages all the hairs in your ears. We know that. But look, no matter what age you are, even if you don't believe, that's up to you. I'm not, you're still my brothers and sisters in Christ. You just don't see what we see yet. And I didn't. I got to 50 something before I became a Christian. But turn off your earphones, turn off your TV, turn off your radio, go out for a walk amongst nature without anyone, just yourself, and think. And when no one's looking, start talking out loud. The birds hear you, they tell Yahusha, they tell him, and you will start to have inspirations and thoughts that will come into you. Remember, this is the house of God. If you were in an iron lung tomorrow, you couldn't move any part of your body, you'd still dream the same. You'd still think the same. You are more than this. So this is great. We're not fighting flesh and blood here. We're fighting principalities.
It's a spiritual war.
It is. So we have a creator. He's overseeing it all. We've got Satan over here who wants everybody's souls, which is why he wants you to have that vaccine. That's really
I said the word vaccine. Yeah.
They want you to have it because then they get to take your soul. So have some discernment, get looking it up, listen, and we will come out of this. We've been here before, but this is a fight. And those that are going to perish are those that they're idolizing science. They're being deceived. The devil's biggest victory was tricking us all into believing it doesn't exist. He really does.
Oh, for sure. I quite agree. Well, guys, that's the show for today. Thank you so much, Kate, for coming on. I do appreciate it.
Now I slapped your hands about fluoride.
Yeah, well, you have. I want to look into it. I wasn't just going to battle you and debate you on something I hadn't really looked into in great detail, but I just know what I've seen, and what I've seen is old people with
onto YouTube, folks, and look up Declan.
YouTube is owned by the globalists.
It is, but Declan Waff might still be on there. He's going to America. He's been down into Australia and New Zealand lecturing. His name is Declan. Waff is Waugh. Declan Waff, and he's a really leading authority on fluoride. And watch his videos, and he'll give you good pointers. Actually, he's got the EPA book. He holds it up. So, yep, you don't need to be drinking any of that nonsense.
Do you know him on a personal level, or have you guys ever interacted?
I do. I was about to interview him, and lockdown came, and he's Irish. But wow, you know,
hook me up.
I already knew about fluoride, but you'll learn so much from that. So much from it. If people don't want to read, then go watch videos and learn. But do educate yourself. No one's going to look after you better than you, and that's because this is the house of God, and this all filters through you. As above, so below. The Creator, it's going to filter. Actually, it's through your pineal gland, but get to it, get thinking, get listening, and we'll come out of this.
I believe that. I think we will come out of this. We have to. We just need to fight, and we need to do more. All right, guys. I'm ending the program on that. If you'll stay with me for a moment, Kate, before just hanging up, that would be great. So thanks everyone for watching. No, and thank you, Jim Murphy, for hooking us up. Yes, well, you would. You have family here.
And Jim Murphy's lovely as well. I love him. I think he's single and he's Christian.
He is. He's both those things. He's both